जगदीप धनखड़ ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा तथा जिस पद को मैं ग्रहण करने वाला हूं उसके कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक निर्वहन करूंगा।
From humble beginnings to the pinnacle of success, the journey that began in a small village of Rajasthan in Katyana has reached the second highest constitutional office and the supreme legislative body of the country, the Indian Parliament.
As presiding officer, the chairman of the Rajya Sabha is the unchallenged guardian of the prestige and dignity of the House. Hello and welcome viewers, you're watching the special presentation of Sansad TV. Rajya Sabha saw Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, the new chairman of the upper house, officiate the proceedings for the first time on December 7th. Let's take a look at the vignettes from this historic day.
Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar was warmly welcomed by the leader of the Rajya Sabha, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister and the Ministers of State for Parliamentary Affairs as he entered the Temple of Democracy. With a firm belief that Gandhian ideals permeate the fundamental rights and directive principles of the Constitution, and that the Bapu's teachings are eternally relevant to humanity, Rajya Sabha Chairman Dhankar started his day by paying rich tributes to the father of the nation. The Rajya Sabha Chairman also paid homage to the crusader of the downtrodden, philosopher, visionary, emancipator and nationalist, and the chief architect of Indian Constitution, Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar. The Temple of Democracy, the Indian Parliament, where our laws are framed, the country's future is debated, and people's representatives are held accountable. In India's highest theatre of legislation, the upper house of Indian Parliament, the Rajya Sabha. Our constitution makers envisaged Rajya Sabha as the second chamber of our parliament with a distinct role in our parliamentary system. The upper house was intended to provide a second look to the legislation passed by the lower house. It was a safeguard to prevent hasty legislation and not to prove a clog either to legislation or administration. In a span of over 6 decades of its existence, the Rajya Sabha has performed this role with distinction and success in our nation building. Its performance has strengthened the roots of Indian democracy. Rajya Sabha has stood the test of time as a legislative, deliberative and oversight body in our democratic polity and as a shining example of a supreme representative body. As the presiding officer, the guardian of the house, the chairman of the Rajya Sabha was warmly received by Deputy Chairman Harivansh.
सभासदों, माननीय सभापति जी,
The first day of winter session of Parliament 2022 saw the new chairman officiate the proceedings of the upper house. The exuberance was palpable, with members loudly thumping the desks. In his address welcoming the new chairman of the upper house, Prime Minister Narendra Modi exuded confidence that Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar will uphold democratic values as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. The Prime Minister stated that the new chairman epitomizes the spirit of both Jawans and Kisans.
आदरणीय सभापति महोदय, आज आप संसद के उच्च सदन के मुखिया के रूप में अपनी नई जिम्मेदारी का औपचारिक आरंभ कर रहे हैं। इस उच्च सदन के कंधों पर भी जो जिम्मेदारी है, उसका भी सबसे पहला सरोकार देश के सबसे निचले पायदान पर खड़े सामान्य मानवी के हितों से ही जुड़ा है। इस कालखंड में देश अपने इस दायित्व को समझ रहा है और उसका पूरा जिम्मेदारी से पालन कर रहा है। आज पहली बार महामहिम राष्ट्रपति श्रीमती द्रौपदी मुर्मू के रूप में देश की गौरवशाली आदिवासी विरासत हमारा मार्गदर्शन कर रही है। इसके पहले भी श्री रामनाथ कोविंद जी ऐसे ही वंचित समाज से निकलकर देश के सर्वोच्च पद पर पहुंचे और अब एक किसान के बेटे के रूप में आप भी करोड़ों देशवासियों की, गांव, गरीब और किसान की ऊर्जा का प्रतिनिधित्व कर रहे हैं।
Leader of the House Piyush Goyal, Deputy Chairman Harivansh, and Leader of the Opposition, as well as members across the political spectrum, were effusive in their felicitations of the new chairman.
हम आपको वेलकम करते हैं, अभिनंदन करते हैं।
शीतकालीन सत्र के पहले दिन बहुत गर्मजोशी व आत्मीयता से आपका अभिनंदन। सदन के इतिहास में इस आसन पर बैठने वालों का गौरवपूर्ण इतिहास है। अपने अपने तरीके से सदन के कामकाज को सुचारू रूप से चलाने में सबका महत्वपूर्ण योगदान है। इनमें से कुछ लोग संसदीय बैकग्राउंड से थे, कुछ संसदीय जीवन के बाहर से भी आए, पर आपको पब्लिक और पार्लियामेंट्री लाइफ दोनों का विस्तृत अनुभव है। ऐसा मानता हूं कि आपके रिच एक्सपीरियंस के साथ लंबा सार्वजनिक जीवन आपको इस सदन के संचालन एवं माननीय सदस्यों के संरक्षक जैसी चैलेंजिंग भूमिका का बहुत बेहतर ढंग से निर्वाह में मदद करेगा। आपके सौम्य स्वभाव और व्यवहार कुशलता के संदर्भ में हिंदी मुहावरे को पुनः मैं रिपीट कर रहा हूं, जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा, सोने पे सुहागा जैसी बात है। सदन के कामकाज में हम सबका सहयोग आपको हमेशा मिलेगा।
समाज में एक विश्वास जगा है कि सभी के लिए इस देश में स्थान है। आज सरनेम के हिसाब से पद नहीं, लेकिन क्षमता और कार्य के हिसाब से लोगों को मौका मिलता है। मैं समझता हूँ उसका एक प्रतीक आप भी हैं और आगे आने वाले दिनों में आपके इस लंबे अनुभव का, आपके इस कार्यशैली का लाभ और मार्गदर्शन हम सभी सदस्यों को मिलता रहेगा।
मैं एक जरूर कहना चाहता हूं कि अपर हाउस के संरक्षक के रूप में आपकी भूमिका बाकी भूमिकाओं से बहुत बड़ी है। आप जिस आसन पर बैठे हैं वहां देश के कई महान हस्तियां बैठ चुकी हैं। उम्मीद करता हूं कि आप हमारी भावनाओं को समझेंगे। विपक्ष की ओर से हम यही कहना चाहेंगे कि आपको हम अपनी ओर से पूरा सहयोग देंगे।
When a subject belongs to the rural India or the farming community, any development thing, I don't want to take unnecessary time of the house. This is only request I would like to make to the Honorable Chairman and the Vice President of India. With these words, I once again thank you very much, sir.
Honorable members, before we proceed further, I need to share my thought with you.
Composed, communicative, compassionate, confident. Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar sent a strong message to the citizens of India through his maiden speech. He asserted that the primacy of Parliament of India and the will of the people are non-negotiable. He exhorted the members to maintain the decency and decorum in the House.
Grateful to the honorable members of Parliament for affording opportunity to be in service of Bharat as Vice President of India and Chairman of this august House. Looking forward to contributing to growth trajectory of the largest vibrant democracy in the world and vindicate its trust and confidence. Obstruction and disruption of proceedings of parliamentary practice or option are antithetical to democratic values. Contemporaneous scenario on this count is concerning and makes it imperative for us to follow the high standards set in the Constituent Assembly. We need to be cognizant of severe public discomfort and disillusionment at the lack of decorum in the temple of democracy.
Rajya Sabha Chairman Dhankar categorically stated that the sublimity of the doctrine of separation of powers is realized only when the legislature, judiciary and executive optimally function in tandem and togetherness. It is only achieved by meticulously ensuring the scrupulous adherence to respective jurisdictional domain. He underlined that any incursion by one, howsoever subtle, in the domain of the other has the potential to upset the apple cart of governance.
Honorable members, we need to bear in mind that in democratic governance, basic of any basic structure is the prevalence of the primacy of the mandate of the people reflected in the Parliament. Parliament is the exclusive and ultimate determinative of the architecture of the Constitution. It is disconcerting to note that on such a momentous issue, so vital to democratic fabric, there has been no focus in the Parliament now for over 7 years. This House, in concert with the Lok Sabha, being custodian of the ordainment of the people, is duty bound to address the issue, and I am sure it will do so. Honorable members, authorities in constitutional positions in any institution are required to exemplify their conduct by high standards of propriety, dignity, and decorum. This House needs to catalyze this wholesome environment to promote synergic functioning of constitutional institutions, emphasizing need to respect Lakshman Rekha.
Chairman firmly asserted that Parliament is duty-bound to address the Supreme Court's overreach when it struck down the National Judicial Appointments Commission Act in 2015 that compromised parliamentary sovereignty and disregarded the people's mandate.
This historic parliamentary mandate was undone by the Supreme Court on October 16, 2015 by a majority of 4:1, finding the same as not being in consonance with the judicially evolved doctrine of basic structure of the Constitution. Honorable members, there is no parallel to such development in democratic history. where a duly legitimized constitutional prescription has been judicially undone.
Chairman Dhankar expressed a deep sense of pride and satisfaction with the level of respect that India commands amongst world leaders. He hoped that our growth trajectory will generate global peace and prosperity.
Honorable members, I look forward with hope and expectation to pleasant and fruitful association so that we all, in togetherness, optimally serve the nation. Once again, I thank you most earnestly for your generous felicitations, and I would do my utmost to come up to your very high expectations. As foot soldier of the Constitution, आप सबको प्रणाम कर कर मैं अपने कार्य का श्री गणेश करता हूँ.
On the first day, officiated by the new chairman, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar detailed the latest developments in Indian foreign policy. He said India's diplomacy is continuing apace amid the country's growing global interests, expanding footprint, and intensive partnerships.
Of the key foreign policy engagements and initiatives taken by India since the monsoon session, which ended on 8 August 2022. During this period, Indian diplomacy continued apace. Honorable President, Honorable Vice President, and Honorable Prime Minister interacted with a number of their foreign counterparts in India and abroad.
More than any other theatre of legislature, this theatre has to take the lead. This theatre has to set standards that are to be emulated by any other center in the country. I would therefore urge you to confine to dignity, decorum, and be in a focused manner. I have carefully gone through every word spoken by the Honorable Minister, and you will find spinal strength of the foreign policy which he has articulated in a focused manner. I personally have had the occasion on my 2 visits abroad, the kind of reflections that have affirmatively evoked. I would appreciate that while you raise your concerns, he is the right person to respond to your issues by way of imparting clarification. We must also be cognizant that we are dealing with a sensitive issue of national importance that has impact in the country and outside. Your concerns reflected are critical and important. They would be responded. But if there is any dilution, or some kind of a distraction, that will not be in consonance with the upper house or the House of Elders.
The chair needs to be impartial and display fair judgment in ensuring that members' right to ask questions and receive complete replies is well respected. Accordingly, Chairman Dhankar deftly allowed members across party lines to seek clarifications on India's foreign policy from the minister. The basic function of Parliament is to make laws. All legislative proposals are brought in the form of bills before Parliament. The Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill of 2022 was the first bill taken up under Vice President Dhankar's chairmanship of the Rajya Sabha. The bill gives effect to India's obligations under the Convention on International Trade on Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora that requires nations to regulate trade of all listed specimens through permits.
नई दिल्ली में चाहे जिसकी भी सरकार हो, पर्यावरण मंत्री और प्रधानमंत्री जो कोई भी हो, कुछ ऐसे मुद्दे होते हैं जो मानव के अस्तित्व से, मानव के हित से और पृथ्वी के संरक्षण से जुड़ा होता है, वो राजनीति का विषय नहीं।
The bill saw a rich participation, meaningful and disruption-free debate.
Accident Claims Tribunal for granting
adequate and timely compensation for the loss of life and agriculture crop due to the wildlife attacks.
Accountability, transparency, participation, and inclusion are vital embodiments of a democratic government. Chairman Dhankar allowed special mentions, a very important parliamentary tool to fix accountability of the government. On each individual issue, the minister concerned with the subject matter is required to respond in writing by intimating the member within 30 days of the factual position or the action taken or proposed to be taken. A message for constitutional institutions, a clear focus on maintaining democratic traditions, a firm resolve to uphold parliamentary values. The first day of the new chairman signaled plenty of new beginnings while keeping a firm hold on the sanctity of continuity enshrined by the august upper house of Indian Parliament.
Honorable members, the House stands adjourned to meet at 1100 hours on Thursday, the 8th December 2022.
An eventful day, an impactful first day, but all that was only made possible by the hectic and meticulous efforts made by the Rajya Sabha chairman months before even the winter session had started. In order to ensure smooth proceedings in the upper house, the Rajya Sabha chairman Jagdeep Dhankar had already established the practice of holding regular meetings with all the members and leaders of various parties in the upper house. He has been interacting with the leaders of opposition and government for better coordination while introducing and passing the bills. Further, the Rajya Sabha chairman has held pointed discussions with all the chairmen of the various parliamentary committees. A task well begun is the surest sign of future success and gives more than an indication that the aspirations of the people will be articulated in full on the floor of the upper house of Indian Parliament, the Rajya Sabha. Well, viewers, that's all we had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sunset TV. Namaskar.